Yo, good morning, everybody. What's happening? Welcome to another episode of Mornings with the Outlaw here on a lovely Wednesday morning. Well, it's a little overcast here in Los Angeles, but that's my, preferred weather here in Los Angeles or anywhere. So thank you all so much for joining me. Let me check to make sure everything's going well here. I checked all the audio. Can you guys hear me? Is everybody hearing me is everybody good to go with how I'm doing things? Can you all hear me? Is everybody fine? How's the audio sound? Does the audio sound good? I want to make sure everybody can hear me and make sure we're good to go before we start going. Yes? Yeah? All right. Seems like everybody's cool with it. So, all right. Going to say hi to everybody. Javier D, what's up? A Spectator, how's it going? Morning to you as well. Rick Samoris, how are you? Haskell 420, what's going down, my man? Andrew G, yes. Let's do it, Andrew G. Hell yes. Jake Yakavetta, thank you, Jake. Let's see. Who else? John Croson. How are you, John? I think you're kind of new. I don't think I've seen it. Shout out to the people in Nashville. You never walk alone. Hell yeah. I love Nashville. And shout out to you over there. Thank you all so much for joining me here this morning. MK Somberg, what's going down, my man? Kevin Merton, Manny Gonzalez, how are you? Monkey of all DJs. Rasish, what's going down? Ronnie Padilla, hey to you. Kanu, Haku, Fu, Nico Robin _DB, what's up? The Prince That Wasn't Promised, how are you, man? Facetious Christ, good to see you again. Andy Burnett, how are you? Let's see, who else? I want to make sure. John Paul, what's going down? Jay Scott for real, good morning, Jay Scott for real. Duke Tucker, that's a great name. Duke Tucker. Morning, Rocha. Morning to you, Duke. Dan Layson, morning to you. Matthew Hannon, how are you? Thank you so much for the audio compliment. Cameron Hainsworth, what is going on? Sounds like a sound flawless. Thank you so much. Justin Towns, how are you? Yeah, Jake Yakavetta putting it in there right now. If you guys want to send some Streamlabs in, get your questions answered here on the show, please do so now. You know, just like we say on SCN Live, the Streamlabs, they keep the lights on in this place. And Lord, it took me forever to figure out how to light this place. So would love it if you all could give some love overall to, the Outlaw Nation here as we try to put stuff together on this channel. Let's see who else we got rolling through. Kevin Lenda, how are you? Good morning. Hey, is there reports of the coronavirus in LA? I don't know. I'm sure there is. It's all... People are flipping out all over the place about this thing. James Kimmel, how are you? JCM Zombie Custom Maps, how are you? Jesus Martinez, good morning, Rocha, fellow Latino from Texas. What's up, dude? Welcome. Bienvenidos. And how are you, Ben Rayner? What is going down? Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk about three things. That is XForce, a little interview that Jeff Wadlow did while he's promoting Fantasy Island, which is getting absolutely destroyed by the critics and destroyed at the box office. Talk about J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot developing this new film of theirs. Their first film or first script they've opted for the Warner Media deal they signed. And we're going to talk about this article from CinemaBlend for the High Republic. Talk about how the High Republic could possibly influence Star Wars or change Star Wars. And so it's exciting to see that. Sorry about that. Let me move this slide a little bit over. There we go. That's a lot better, I think. Yeah. There we go. All right, cool. Anyway, yeah, so it's overcast, so I have to kind of adjust the lighting a little bit. But anyway, I hope you guys can see me, and it is good to go. Yeah, people are talking about it. Talkside TWV, what's going down? See that guy over there? Yep, Chris Scorpio. Yo, Chris Scorpio. A little late, Chris, but I'm glad you're in here. As always, please send in your Streamlabs. Jake Yakavetta putting in the address there. Also, look at that new layout from Jake Yakavetta there. I wanted my name to be a little more legible. Wanted the Patreon and the Streamlabs address to be a little more legible for you all. Plus, I wanted my, my social media up there. Shout out to Jake. Jake just doesn't, when I ask him to do something, Jake just kills it immediately. He's such a skilled guy for these kinds of things. I tell you, the Mornings with the Outlaw would nowhere be anywhere near as good in terms of the graphics, in terms of the look of it, if it wasn't for Jake Yakavetta. So I absolutely owe that man a lot. So thank you so much, Jake, for a fantastic new outlay. And please, guys, hit that like button. We got about 76 of you in here right now. Of course, starts that way, and then it builds as it goes along. So swing over there, hit that like button before we get going, and we'll be good to go now. And I'll admit to you right now, I've got a muffin out, so I may be occasionally shoving a bite or two into my mouth because I just got asked unexpectedly to be on SCN Live today. So after this, I'm going to rush on over there there, but I have to shove down a little bit of food as we do this. All right, let's jump into the first subject matter today, and I want to talk about, and that's XForce. As I mentioned here, Jeff Wadlow doing a fantastic interview with comicbookmovie.com about Fantasy Island, and revealed what he's doing with what he was going to do with XForce back in 2013. He was attached to write and direct an XForce movie for Fox. Of course, that kind of got shuttered because of Disney buying Fox. So now they're kind of reevaluating what they want to do with the New Mutants. What they want to do with the Mutants. Of course, the New Mutants is coming out, but figuring out what they want to do with X-Men, with X-Force, Deadpool, all of that kind of up in the air a little bit. He's like I said, he was being interviewed talking about Blumhouse's Fantasy Island, and during the interview, he revealed some things that were interesting to take a look at. I'm going to read the quotes from him. He said he was asked whether he would be keen to work with Marvel Studios on an X-Force project, and here's what he reminded, because he was going to be doing a trilogy with the original version of the team. Before culminating in the version from Rick Remender's classic run. And once again, this is from comicbookmovie.com. These are his quotes. He said, "Kevin Feige, if you're reading this, I will do anything at all to work on your version of the X-Men and X-Force. I'm a filmmaker because of 90s comics, so I obviously love them dearly, and it was actually a dream come true for me to write X-Force and meet Rob Liefeld. I loved doing it and would, of course, do anything to be part of whatever new iteration they have planned. What I can share about my take on the property is it's not really relevant anymore since Deadpool 2 introduced Cable, and I wrote X-Force before Deadpool 1 even came out, is that it asked if X-Men was about mutants who get to go to private school with Wolverine and Professor X and have the Blackbird swooping down to pick them up. What about the mutants that have to go to public school?" And I love that approach. That's my personal thought. I love that approach. What about the ones who don't have the benefactor looking out for them? And what about the kids who have to figure it out on their own? We then would have introduced that darker, more militant mentor in the form of Cable. He goes on to say, "I plotted out this 3-movie arc that took X-Force from what it was in the 90s, with Rob Liefeld, with a band of kids fighting for what they believe in, and then by the 3rd film, the group would have grown and changed and lost and picked up some new members and basically turned into Rick Remender's version of X-Force in the early 2000s. That was a much darker hit squad and Black Ops team who had lost their way over the course of the 3 films. Their plans, which never came to fruition, but I'm super grateful to have had the opportunity to have just written the script." So pretty incredible stuff here from Jeff Wadlow. I'm a massive fan of X-Force. I still have X-Force comics sitting back in my group of comics that, I went back home about a couple of years ago and just took back like stacks and stacks of comics that I just want to have here in my place and come with me wherever I go. And X-Force is certainly one of those ones that I come back to because I'm always a fan of the rebellious comics. I'm always a fan of the comics that like push the boundaries of what you can talk about, push the boundaries of what can be looked at here. And certainly X-Force did that. X-Men was so great, but X-Men is like mainstream comic. Yeah, of course, what they dealt with was revolutionary at the time, this idea of being a mutant correlating to racism or to whatever, being homosexual, whatever, being out of the mainstream. Ironically, that's what X-Men started out as, but X-Men eventually became the mainstream. And so offshoots like offshoots like X-Force or New Mutants, they always grabbed my interest because I wanted to see what they could do with them. So Jeff Wadlow, these are great quotes. This idea that private school X-Men versus public school X-Men being an issue, or X-people or mutants or whatever being a situation here that could cause friction within the mutant community, cause friction within themselves. I mean, look, not to make too fine a point on it, but look what's happening now in our political spectrum just off the primaries today, right? The Bernie people versus the Biden people versus the Elizabeth Warren people versus the small part of the Bloomberg people. So the idea that you're all under one tent doesn't mean you don't have friction. And so the idea that there could be friction within the mutant community, depending on private school versus public school, and the resentment that maybe public school people feel to private school X-Men, or X-Men might feel a little bit above some X-Force people, that was very interesting to explore. And I love what Wadlow says here. The idea that the mutants have to go to public school. What about the ones that don't have the benefits? So they don't have Professor X looking out for them. And benefactor is a really important word for him to use because, again, these are the product of the rich. The X-Men are the product of the rich. Professor X has money. Professor X has that school for New Mutants, has the Danger Room, has all those kinds of things. What about those mutants that don't qualify to be part of that situation, that don't want to be part of that situation because they don't like that setup? So what happens to them? And this idea that he would have a darker, more militant member in Cable. So obviously, when we saw Cable in Deadpool 2, Josh Brolin doing a fantastic job with that. But the idea becomes, well, what is this Cable? What is Cable's version of X-Force? What are these mutants that are coming in? How will they be influenced by Cable? Where Professor X is trying to influence them to be like, better people, take the higher road, be more analytical before they respond emotionally. Wadlow is saying this would be a little bit of a different X-Force. It would be more violent, possibly more brutal, more cutthroat, more morally ambiguous in their meting out of justice in the situations like that. And, we talk about gray Jedi. We talk about Jedi. We talk about the Sith, right? But then we talk about gray Jedi, like Ahsoka Tano. A lot of people contend that Qui-Gon Jinn could have been a gray Jedi. This idea of being in the middle and taking remnants of one place and remnants of another place, right? And once again, speaking a little bit about political spectrum, a lot of people fall in the middle of the political spectrum. They don't, not too far right, not too far left. They fall in the middle. And this is where this situation of X-Force could be kind of the middle between the between the ultimate, high-end X-Men, looking at things in the best light and being the bigger people versus the Brotherhood of Mutants, which is very violent and evil. They say he had plotted out a trilogy, so he'd had a trilogy going here, so he had some ideas about it. But, that being said, the Fantasy Island was not that well received and really did not do well. And from what I understand from the critics, it's just a terrible, terrible movie. So in the box office and critic-wise, it just was not received in the most positive fashion. I want to take a look at some other things with Jeff Wadlow's resume here before I move on too much. He produced Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. He has directed, of course, Kick-Ass 2, which I didn't think it was that good of a sequel for the Kick-Ass, the original Kick-Ass. So to me, I enjoy Kick-Ass a lot. I didn't like Kick-Ass 2 that much. He also directed Cry Wolf and Never Back Down, which is that fighting film with starring Sean Harris and Jaume Hansu and a young Amber Heard. Those are the things that he has directed. So it doesn't speak volumes about him being involved necessarily as a director in this situation. You had him, he co-executive produced The Strain, Bates Motel. He was a consulting producer on Bates Motel for about 6 episodes. He was executive producer on Nonstop. I think that's that Liam Neeson film. And then what else? And then Ryan Hansen Solves Crimes on television. So he's the executive producer of that. So Wadlow is making a career for himself. You can't argue that he doesn't, but the results, I don't know if I would trust him to do an X-Force movie, even though this take is pretty awesome. I'm not going to deny that this is a pretty damn good take. I just don't know if he would have been the guy to necessarily bring it forward and get the best out of this material, get the best out of these X-Men, and get the best out of the opportunity to do this trilogy. And just to give you a little bit of a background stuff for this, because I think maybe some of you might not know too much about X-Force. It's a fictional team of superheroes, obviously, that appears in the American comic books from Marvel. They're associated with X-Men. They were conceived by Rob Liefeld, a friend of Collider Heroes for many years. Rob Liefeld, the team first appeared in New Mutants number 100, which is in April of 1991, and then got their own series right afterwards. That's probably how I got to know X-Force, is collecting New Mutants, and then X-Force was shown. I was like, ooh, I got to follow this. The group was originally a revamped version of the New Mutants from the 1980s. The first leader was Cable, and then their lineup was Boom Boom. The original lineup was Boom Boom, Cable, Cannonball, Domino, Feral, Shatterstar, and Warpath, with Siren being added in the third issue. And their main opponents were the Terrorist Mutant Liberation Front, led by Strife, a masked mutant with a mysterious link to cable. There was also Deadpool. The Externals made a visit here. So will that somehow come to pass in the MCU down the road if we bring in an X-Force into the MCU? And of course, the new Brotherhood of Mutants. As this thing went along, though, there was so much more to the X-Force. Numerous people became X-Force in the different iterations of it. To the point where, let me see if I got some names I want to throw out to you all. Yeah, Psylocke, Phantom X, Deadpool was part of this thing, Warpath, Wolfsbane, Wolverine, X-23 rather, Elektra, Punisher, Thundra, Deadpool, all these people during different iterations of the New Mutants have been part of it. So you look at the number of heroes rather, that have kind of come through the doors of the X-Force, and you have quite a list of mutants who are involved here. You have the Counter X, you have X-Force Volume 2, you have Volume 3, there's Uncanny X-Force, there's Uncanny X-Force Volume 2, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6. So there's so much that was involved here with the X-Force and what they were trying to get across. And of course, Rob Liefeld, no surprise, even just such an incredible comic book artist, comic book creator, comic book writer. Seeing him create this X-Force was fantastic for me personally. So let me see what you all think. I'm jumping in here into the stream to take a look at some of the comments from some of y'all. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Over 120 you all in here. Please go and hit that like button. I'm only at 60 likes. Please swing over there. Get me over to 100 as soon as possible. We'll go from there. J. Scott Friel with the eloquent X gonna give it to you. Hell yeah. Let's see. Some people, Accuser. Oh, some people are making some jokes here. Let me go back and see what some of the comments are. Let's see. Chris Hall says, you eat that muffin, Rocha. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Anybody commenting? Rick Samores. Yeah, Boom Boom will be on X-Force. Welcome, Gramash. How are you? All right, so these guys are having a back and forth with each other, so that's funny over here on my stream. So that's funny. John Castile says Uncanny X-Force is getting a reprint. It will be out sometime this month, I believe. So that looks cool. I love that idea. So definitely going to pick that one up when it comes out. I should probably talk to what's her face? Amy. I should probably talk to Amy over there at House of Secrets to get her to start pulling me some stuff. So John Castile says this show should come on later in the day or 30 minutes earlier. Well, I tried at 8 o'clock, but I find that around 9 o'clock more people tune in. So I figured 8:30 to 9:30 is the best way to go for me. So I apologize if that leaves you out. We don't know when a trailer is coming out for Eternals, but we will look for it soon. All right, let's jump into some of these Streamlabs. Let me go through these things. Jake Yacovetta said, just testing to see if this works. It does work, Jake. Thank you so much. Here, let me move stuff over. Sorry to make a lot of noise if it irritates anybody. Just moving my Streamlabs a little bit closer because it's on my laptop. All right, Ben Rayner. Good morning, Rocha. You mentioned Lost the other night on Chill to Action. What did you think of the show? For me, it's one of my favorites. I loved the finale. It was a beautiful character story finale, and I get teary-eyed every time I watch, which is every year. Now, yeah, I really enjoyed the show. Was I frustrated by the fact that Lost didn't answer a lot of questions and didn't land the plane, for lack of a better term? Yes, absolutely, very frustrated by that. But in the long run, there are way more good episodes than bad episodes in that series, and that's all you can ask for. And yes, maybe that last season will frustrate you, but look at how many great shows don't land in that last season. Game of Thrones being like top of the list. I would argue even Sopranos' final season wasn't that great. So I like The Wire final season, though, even though some people complained about that one too. They didn't like the newspaper aspect of it all. I enjoyed that, but some people didn't. So not every show does a great job in its final season kind of wrapping everything up. And so maybe some issues were here for them wrapping it up in Lost, and they were just kind of like, we can't, I don't know, we'll just like end it in this nice feel-good finale and be done with it. And I didn't mind that because we'd been waiting for those reunions. We'd been waiting for those things to happen on the show. So to me, that wasn't a problem, and I enjoyed it. So I do not fault you at all for, for the getting emotional when you watch that finale every year. And I respect the fact that you enjoy rewatching it every year. It's a fantastic, in my opinion, it's a damn good finale that kind of like is about bringing you back to the spirit of the first season of the show. And yeah, it does kind of cop out, but in the cop out, you're like, okay, Fine. They decided to make it what they decided to make. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who might want to go back and see it. But yeah, so I got no problems with that. Chris Hall donated here. He said, who is your favorite X-Men character? Who do you want the X-Force team to be? Oh, that's a good question. I'm a big fan of Wolverine. That's my favorite X-Men character, bar none. I'm not trying to be like cheesy or trying to be populist. Literally, he is. One, because he's an outsider, which I've always connected to. Two, he loves cigars, which I do too. Three, he's like this, I don't know, he's like this force of nature, and he likes to be part of the group, but he likes to have some sort of direction of where the group is going. He doesn't want to be the alpha necessarily, but he certainly wants to have his voice heard about the direction of the group, and he will question people in authority and people in power. That sounds very much like me, so I've always felt a connection. Plus, he likes to mentor the young ones so that they do the right things and have belief in themselves and can figure things out. And so, in many ways, Wolverine you'd think would be one of the worst mentors because of his anger, his ability to draw the claws or whatever, or his brooding stuff that he's got inside, his mental stuff that he goes through. But he's actually a damn good mentor to a lot of the younger X-Men in better ways than Scott Summers is, or Jean Grey, or some other people involved, or Professor X even sometimes. So I kind of feel that way too. Some of the young ones that come into the Schmodown, I feel like, when they come to me to talk to me, I try to give them as much great advice as possible so they can get to a position to feel comfortable in the game and understand what's coming for them. So I've always felt a kinship with Wolverine in that way. Yeah, I think Wolverine, let me see, who would I want to see on this X-Force? Let's take a look at some of these people. Certainly I want Cable a part of it. Certainly want Wolverine a part of it. I love the idea of Storm. She had been a part of this thing as well. Domino being a part of it. Punisher would be great if you get to do a Punisher part of this thing. I like Wolfsbane. I like Warpath. So those kinds of combos. I think Siren is great as well. So that kind of combo would be fun to explore as a team, to see what you can do with that team. But to me, honestly, I'd love any combination that has a good mix of veterans and younger mutants, and also like different philosophies, different points of views and takes, so that it actually becomes a team that has conflict and has dramatic storylines that you can pursue and can get you into the actual film. So that's kind of how I look at it. All right, our next one is from Andrew G. What's up, man? X-Force, of course, started out as New Mutants, and Cable came in and turned them into a more militant group, which became X-Force. His take seems pretty accurate to the original material. I hope Marvel/Disney does something similar. Well, certainly possible. It's crazy. If there's one person I'd like to have crossover, obviously Ryan Reynolds is going to cross over Deadpool, but I would love to have Josh Brolin come back as Cable. We've seen him be... From the Goonies onto other projects, we've seen Josh Brolin be the person in charge of the younger people. So why wouldn't he be, or a mentor, or at least giving a crap to the younger kids, younger people in his movies? So why wouldn't he be a great choice to be a leader like of the X-Force with Cable? I think he would be fantastic. So yeah, I'd be a fan of him coming back in some version, and I hope Marvel/Disney doesn't mess it up either. All right, JJ Winward here donated. He said, "Hey Outlaw. Personally, I liked Fantasy Island, but I understand what people don't like about it. To each their own. Won't be able to catch SEN, but I'll be listening to Top 10 on my walk to work." Boom! That's right, yeah. Top 10. So much fun coming out. Came out yesterday. We did our top 10 duos on a journey movies in honor of Onward. And, if you have never listened to the top 10, you can go into the description of this video, go down there, click on that link, and start listening to Matt Nost and I. We've been doing it for 4 years now. If you haven't heard about us, or you've been hesitant, I don't know why you hesitated. And if you haven't heard about us, please go and click that link. And Matt Nost and I will definitely entertain you and make you laugh. We have a great time talking movies. We have a great time on these tangents. We have a great time exploring all the things that go on in our worlds, on our show. So please go and do that. Chris Hall goes, "Good morning." He donated here. He said, "Good morning, Rocha. Who is your favorite X-Men villain?" Well, it's always going to be Magneto. That being said, I think Apocalypse is fantastic as well. I loved the Apocalypse as a villain. Such a different take on a villain. It wasn't quite Galactus or, way out there. He was kind of in that middle between a normal, kind of earthbound villain and a villain that's out there in space. So I like that Apocalypse came in and did what he did. In fact, the Apocalypse storyline in the 90s is one of my favorite storylines, or late 80s, early 90s is one of my favorite storylines in comics ever. I think he redeemed Angel. Angel was kind of like this, he's a rich boy with wings. who gives a shit, right? And then he like completely messed with Angel, Warren Worthington III, and put blades on him. So behind Wolverine, the Age of Apocalypse, Angel is my second favorite X-Men, bar none, because the change in him and the introspective thing that he went through and confronts within himself, and then using those blades from his wings to attack, plus the design of the costume was incredible. So for me, that's the thing that I come back to in terms of favorite X-Men is that. So a favorite villain, Apocalypse could be up there next to Magneto for sure. I always enjoyed him. The rest of the ones are like kind of lower villains in my mind, but certainly that. I mean, you go, was it Mr. Diamond, who's the guy that has a diamond in his head? I forget his name offhand, but yeah, he was a good villain as well. But I've always enjoyed Apocalypse. That storyline went on for quite some time, and I thought he was one of the first few villains that I ever read about who I thought would actually be able to beat the X-Men. And so I enjoyed that for that aspect of it all. All right. Thank you so much for the Streamlabs donations. Please keep them coming in. If you got other questions you want to ask me, I'll definitely turn to them right after I get into the second subject matter here. All right, we're over 150 all in here. Thank you so much for joining me here on Mornings with the Outlaw. Please swing over there, hit that like button. I would really appreciate getting over 100 likes as soon as possible, then getting to 150, then possibly 200, depending on how many people get in here before I have to wrap this up at 9:30 and head on over to SCN Live to be on the show this morning. All right, any super chats? I saw some. Oh, there we go. There's a super chat. It's from JB Bonifacio. He says, Outlaw, have you read House of X / Powers of X by Hickman? It's an amazing X-Men run in which Xavier allies himself with Magneto / Apocalypse. Really? No, I don't think I have read House of X / Powers of X. Maybe I'll go order that off of Amazon and read it, or on my Comixology. I had no idea that was what was going on in there. I know I read House of M. I really enjoyed House of M. That was badass. But I never really read House of X. So if Apocalypse is part of this, then I'll definitely go. And if Professor X is with both Magneto and Apocalypse, then yeah, I'm definitely down for that. So all right, good suggestion. Thank you, JB. I'm gonna take a look at that for sure. I'll put it on my Amazon. Oh, by the way, Winston and Sheridan and other people have been mentioning this idea of an Amazon wish list. I'd like to do one, but I feel self-conscious that I'm like, hey, this is if you want to buy me something, it's here. I don't want to ask people for beg people. Like Streamlabs is different. This is kind of like, kind of funding what I'm trying to do with the Outlaw Nation, but like putting an Amazon wish list. Would you guys think that's weird? Mr. Diamond, yeah, Mr. Sinister. That's right. Thank you, that cat guy, Mr. Sinister. Yes, thank you so much. But would you guys think it was weird if I did that? I don't know. I think I feel weird about it all. So I don't know. Just put it out there. Yeah, I haven't watched the AEW Revolution yet, Gramash, but I will be, absolutely. A lot of people giving love to the X-Men 90s animated series. That was a damn good series, no doubt. All right, let me take a sip of my drink here and move on to the second subject matter. Some of you who are new to the show, just know that sometimes when I'm on the show, I have to eat my breakfast as I do the show because I'm so stocked with stuff I have to do as soon as I wake up, and then spend a little time with my lady before I jump on the show. Got to shower, get ready, that kind of jazz. So sometimes I don't have time to eat breakfast. Usually I try to eat breakfast after I do the show. But then I didn't know I was going to be on SCN Live. Christian reached out to me, so I kind of adjusted my schedule. So I'm sorry if I'm eating. How about take 30 seconds to shove some stuff down while I read your comments? Right? Yeah, Brett did it. Emma did it too. You need a butt donut, don't you, Rogue? I didn't have surgery down there at Justin Towns. Yeah, Jake Yagovetti said he sent Brett random shit on his wish list like essential oils and toilet paper. Oh, Chris Hall says depends on what you ask for. What do people frown upon being asked for? Obviously, I'm not going to ask for a fucking computer, but like, what do people frown upon? Star Drew, did you get your Bose headphones yet? Yeah, I did. What's up, Drew? How are you? Yeah, I mean those Bose headphones from way back. Yes, I did. I finally popped them open and I used them on my trip to Atlanta. And here's the thing I'll tell you. Those new Bose 700 headphones, they are good for tooling around the house. Yes, they're lightweight. They're easier to use. You get 11 levels of noise cancellation. However, they are shit on a plane because they don't hold on to your ears as strongly. When the plane takes off, they literally reverberate off your ears slightly, and whereas the ones before, the QC35-2s, those do not. So when I travel, the QC35-2s are the ones I use. When I'm here at the house, those 700s are the one I use because they're lightweight and they're chill and they don't take too much of your effort to do it, and they still give you great noise canceling. So there you go. She says, I love food talk. Yeah, food talk, definitely. Garth McMurray said he bought stuff for Brett, Sharon, and Winston Marshall on their wish list. Usually small stuff like toilet paper, toilet seats, sneakers. Wait, sneakers? You can ask for sneakers? Don't even joke. What about Adidas pants? What about a Liverpool jersey or a Liverpool shirt or a Liverpool scarf or a Liverpool hat? Is that possible? I'm just asking. Oh, nice. JB Bonifacio says, put House of X, Powers of X on your wish list. Now, cop you the omnibus. Oh, damn. Okay. All right. Now that might be possible. Or put like books or comic books or something like that. And then maybe I'd review them on the show as a thank you to whoever submitted them. So, yeah, okay. Or bought them for me. So, all right. I think that's cool. I can do that. Yeah, I think that good's go. Okay, Garth says, both Sheridan also has a joke major item on his memes. He has a Rolex. Man, I love Sheridan. Sheridan is brilliant. Jake says, I don't think anything is really frowned upon. People are definitely willing to buy stuff that helps with content. Like I got Winston a ring light and Video Drew a Streamcaster. Jake, what's a Streamcaster? How come you never told me about a Streamcaster? Am I doing this all wrong? Should I be using a Streamcaster? Good God almighty. It's March! I can't believe I'm still figuring this out. My books, DVDs, blah, blah, blah. Andrew G says, I missed the Streamlabs. Let me turn back over and take a look at that. Thank you all for indulging me for that. I had to shove some food in here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Andrew G said this. Sorry about that, guys. As a longtime X-Men reader, I dug his X-Force take. Curious to see what Disney/Marvel does with the X-Men now. Maybe the big X-Men team on film and the spin-off teams like X-Factor and X-Force as Disney Plus series. I'd like that a lot, actually. Actually, it's not a bad idea, Andrew. That's not a bad idea at all. So, kind of spinning them off. I mean, we're seeing Marvel do that with these series that are coming up with Falcon and Winter Soldier and with Scarlet Witch, WandaVision. That's all certainly in the Loki series. So spinning them off after you introduce the X-Men, maybe introduce them in the X-Men, then that's certainly possible, you know. I mean, would it be too much? But it would take a while down the road, wouldn't it? Because you'd have to introduce the X-Men, then you'd have to introduce X-Force, then you have to do X. What's the other one? Sorry, X Factor. You have to introduce them all through the X-Men series, and then dump them down into a Disney Plus series. Or you'd have to introduce the X-Men universe so powerfully, and then lay hints about an X-Force and an X Factor. And then that kind of leads you into a Disney Plus series. So I think that's certainly possible, and I love that idea to be actually honest with you, because it uses the streaming service in a positive way. So I'm down with it. All right, I'm going to take a drink real quick. We'll move on. Chris Hall, yeah, Jake, what the fuck? It's a Raisin Bran muffin, just to let you know that's what I'm eating for people who are asking. All right, no more Streamlabs. No, I got one from Chris Hall. When was the last time you watched Logan? How many times have you watched it now? I love the movie. I definitely cheered up at the end for the move from the cross to the X on the gravestone. The last time I watched Logan, it's been a few months. So just because all this other stuff's been going on, I haven't watched it. I have caught half an hour clips of it here and there, but I haven't watched it all the way through in a bit. And I know the 3-year anniversary was yesterday or a couple of days ago, and everyone was talking about it. So maybe I should have done a special Logan kind of like video for it. So maybe that's something to think about this week. Maybe record something like that. So we'll see. But yes, I tear up at the end as well. I tear up. I get real emotional when he says to her, "Don't let them tell you don't let them tell you what you can be." Which is always what you, as a father, wants to pass that on to their children. Don't let the world define you, right? Stallone said the same thing, or Rocky said the same thing to his kid in Rocky Balboa. You know, you don't blame others, or you're looking for to blame a shadow or your name or whatever, and you pointed fingers. saying that that's why you're not successful, but that's not how winners do it. That's not you. And so that kind of thing of like blaming others or letting others define you. I love that about Logan, and I'm kind of going through that now, Some people have wanted to define me in a certain way, and I'm pushing back and creating my own thing and showing that you can't define me. I will define myself. The Outlaw Nation is the definition of myself, and that's how it's going to go from there. All right, let's move on to our next thing. And that is for J.J. Abrams here. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. They broke this thing, and they said that Warner Brothers has preemptively snatched up The Pinkerton, which is a spec script by Daniel Casey for J.J. Abrams and his Bad Robot production banner. The move puts Pinkerton as the first original film project brought in by Bad Robot since the company signed a high-profile film and TV mega deal with Warner Media in September. There's no real background on what the film is going to be about, but it does have it's being described as a supernatural revenge thriller. Now, remember, Pinkerton is the name of the detective agency that got its start in the mid-1800s. We've seen the Pinkertons used all the time in Westerns or referenced in Westerns all the time. They're famous for being the security for Abraham Lincoln and then working for corporations. And they've been seen as both saviors and sinners, and criminals. So it depends on which side of the line you are for Pinkerton. If you remember the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, the Pinkertons are the ones chasing him down. The Pinkertons are the ones looking for him. So they've been seen, like I said, on both sides of the spectrum here, both good and evil. And of course, there was a weird show that came out. I think Angus McFadden, the guy who played Robert the Bruce in Braveheart, was in a show called The Pinkertons as well, which was weird. I gave it a shot, but I think the writing and the acting it just wasn't a strong enough show. It was one of those like straight to DVD shows or straight to subscription shows, something like that they call those shows. Straight to syndication shows. That's what it seemed like to me. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But the Pinkertons have always had, even in Deadwood, the Pinkertons were a big part of that as well. So this idea that you're going into a supernatural revenge thriller, my first thought is, what is it, RFPD, that terrible movie with Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds, and that worries me. Of course, people aren't the biggest fan of Super 8, so is that going to have a little bit of a vibe here? But I like the idea of a supernatural revenge thriller. I'm always a big fan of revenge movies. You really have to mess up a revenge movie a lot for me not to at least enjoy it a little bit. And there are many revenge films that I've seen that I thoroughly enjoy because they get enough of it right for me to get on board. Edge of Darkness is one of those quietly damn good revenge films. Yes, it's Mel Gibson, so however you feel about Mel Gibson, that's your own personal feelings to bring into the situation. But I enjoy Edge of Darkness. I always tell people to watch that damn thing. It is so good. And was it The Foreigner, the one that just came out a couple of years ago with Jackie Chan? That is an awesome revenge film for Martin Campbell as well. So those kinds of things, that they just put a hook in me. Like I'm watching Hunters. Hunters feels like a little bit of a revenge series. So I'm enjoying that. I'm almost done. We just finished episode 9 last night. We're going to finish episode 10 tonight. But anyway, the supernatural revenge thriller here is part of this thing, is kind of a pseudo description of this thing, but it also says it's going to be set in a Western. So now, John the Outlaw Rocha is super excited about a supernatural revenge thriller in the Western. And then you go, wait a minute, what about cowboys and aliens? Oh, damn it. What about cowboys and aliens? So those kinds of things are in your head now at this point. Like, well, what is this going to be? Is this going to work? Because you're combining some genres that aren't really the most popular genres. Like sci-fi is not really burning up the box office, right? Yeah, you can argue Star Wars. That's a separate situation. But look at Blade Runner 2049's box office. Not that strong. I know people like Altered Carbon, but Altered Carbon isn't mentioned, I don't think, in the top 5 or top 10 views-getting series over on Netflix. And Series 2 just came out with, I think, Anthony Mackie leading that. So and the Western. Like, there's rarely there's not the big westerns coming down the pike that are making a crap ton of money. So this is an interesting decision by Bad Robot and by J.J. Abrams to take on this script. So hopefully the script is damn good. And you imagine if they picked it up, it must be. Then you go, okay, what's the casting in this situation? Then you go, okay, what are you trying to get across with a film like this? Are you starting a franchise with this, or this is just a singular film? And what is the Pinkerton? Do the Pinkertons get revived in the future? So they're used as this investigative agency. Is the Pinkerton, because it's called The Pinkerton, not Pinkertons or the Pinkertons, plural. It's The Pinkerton. So is this one person, a singular person, revenge against the Pinkertons, maybe against the Pinkerton agency? That's possible too. So those kinds of things are in play for it. What's it? Peter Dodd is overseeing this project. Daniel Casey, who we mentioned is who wrote the spec script, worked with Abrams when he did a rewrite on the producer's 2016 thriller 10 Cloverfield Lane. He also wrote Kin, that 2018 sci-fi thriller that starred Jack Rayner, and his hitman thriller Leo from Toledo is heading towards an April production start with Joe Carnahan in the director's chair with Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo starting. That sounds fantastic on so many levels. And then Bad Robot is, of course, getting ready to launch Westworld Season 3. So maybe that's a part of it, too, is that, like, well, we're in the Westworld situation. What's another possibility? We did really well with Westworld, so why don't we try doing that as a feature film, this idea of a sci-fi Western combo? Will it work on the big screen? So maybe the script from the Pinkerton, maybe the script from Daniel Casey about the Pinkerton kind of piqued the interest of these people over here at Bad Robot, who've been doing a good job with Westworld. I wouldn't say a great job, but certainly a good job with Westworld. And maybe they figured something out in Westworld Season 3, which is getting a lot of buzz, that they can use going forward in this Pinkerton film. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. So I got a super chat coming through here. Hey, John, thoughts on Bond moving the release date? It's just breaking. Oh, really? Let me take a look here. My geek buddies are already on top of it. They already sent it to me, this article. All right, let me take a look. It's from Deadline. It's an exclusive. With the coronavirus socking it to the Asian box office, Deadline has learned that MGM, Eon, and Universal are postponing the next James Bond movie from its UK and international release date of April 2nd and its US Easter weekend global date of April 10th, and moving the Bond movie to November 25th. Wow, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Boy, that's interesting. Okay. All right. The film will be released in the UK on November 12th, 2020. And the worldwide release will be November 25th, 2020. So maybe I need to move. Maybe I need to fly to London in November to get a chance at this thing. Okay, so this is purely an economic decision, we understand, says Deadline, and not one based on growing fears over the coronavirus. Bond is a day and date worldwide release, and with the franchise back in the hands of MGM fully post Sony's distribution of the last 4 Daniel Craig movies, along with Universal, all parties involved need to have all foreign territories working at their maximum in order for the latest Bond to be a continued box office success. This is who's doing this? I want to give Anthony D'Alessandro and Nancy Tartaglione. Want to give them some respect here. They've heard that the move for No Time to Die should not be perceived as a concern about the safety of theaters outside of areas where public health officials have restricted or recommended against attending public events. All right. All right, then. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Damn, this is damn disappointing. I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to this one, because it was coming out in April, which is like 2 months away, or a month and a half away, actually, April 10th. So, yeah, little over a month away. I was crazy looking forward to this, and now we have to wait another, what are we in the 3rd month right now? We have to wait another 8 months to see this thing. And you're coming up against December box office. What's coming out in December? Oh, man. All right, hold on. Let me take a look to see what is coming out in December, to see what it might be up against. Let me go to MovieWeb here and see what they've got. West Side Story is supposed to come out in a couple of weeks later. Coming to America is supposed to come out. Dune is supposed to come out in December. Man, this is a hell of a month. The Last Duel, which is the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon film, is currently slated for Christmas time. Boss Level, which is the Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson movie, is slated for that time. Kung Fury 2. Stallone's Samaritan movie is supposed to come out right now, according to that. So interesting. All right, what will we be playing? What will we be playing for that weekend of November? Let's take a look here. Sorry, November 2020 movies from Movie Web. Yeah, The Eternals comes out just a couple of weeks before, in November 6th. Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out the week before on November 20th, and Godzilla vs. Kong. Dune is slated to possibly come out then. It's supposed to be December, so it could be then. Raya and the Last Dragon is supposed to be coming out. It's the new Disney animated film, and King Richard is supposed to come out around that time as well, which is the film about Richard Williams, Serena and Venus's dad. In that order. So interesting. All right. Wow. That's a shame. That's a big shame in my mind because waiting till November, man. It's supposed to be. Oh yeah. Will Smith's supposed to play King Richard in that as well. So, I don't know. The Deep Water film is supposed to come out on November 13th with Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck. So this is an interesting decision. Very interesting decision. A lot to think about here, and I wonder how that's going to affect their box office that late in the year. I'm not sure. I would have to do a separate deep dive, I think, into Bond film releases if they've released in November. Let's see. Bond film release dates. Yeah, so No Time to Die was supposed to come out. So Spectre came out in November of 2015. Skyfall came out in November. Casino. Oh, so they standardly drop these films, it seems like, in November. Casino Royale came out in November. And Quantum Solace came out in November as well. GoldenEye came out in November. Die Another Day came out in November. And so I'm getting this off what I just Googled here. World Is Not Enough came out in November. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So maybe they're keeping with tradition and releasing most of their movies. Seems like most of their movies they've released in December. That's the one month that seems to be the consistent month that they've released a majority of their films. They have released films in April, in May, in September, in January, in December, in October, in July, in June. But it seems, and in April, but it seems to be that November is the one they've most focused on in terms of months. So, all right, well, there you go. It seems like it's a sad thing to see that happening because I really wanted to see the film coming out in about a month. I was down to watch it, but it looks like they're pushing it back a little bit. So that's my thoughts on it, Sean Monk. I'm not happy about it. My thoughts are I'm not happy about it because I don't want to wait another 8 months to see this damn movie, or 6 months rather, because I'm super excited, or 8 months, yeah, because I'm super excited to see it, but. But it seems like it's going to be pushed to November. Yeah, November is stacked, says Chris Hall, but so is December. So could be interesting for the box office of Bond. Maybe they're focusing on the fact that they're going to own that weekend and own a couple of weekends before the big stuff comes out in the middle of December with West Side Story and what have you. So, okay, all right. Garth McMurray says, I can hear Scott Mance yelling, movie release dates. Yeah, maybe they're trying to get some Oscar buzz for this one. I don't know, maybe. I mean, Skyfall certainly should have been a film that was considered one of the for an Oscar for Best Picture. So maybe No Time to Die is supposed to be so massively incredible that they want to kind of put it closer to the end of the year to get maybe some Oscar consideration, maybe for Rami Malek, or maybe Lashana Lynch, depending on what her role is. Maybe Ana de Armas, depending on how she does in the movie. You rarely see Bond people nominated, so I don't imagine Daniel Craig, but maybe the film itself. So we'll see. All right, any more Streamlabs coming through, or any more Super Chats coming through? Let me check real quick. Oh yeah, Chris Hall sent another one. He says, would you be interested in doing any movie watch-alongs? Yeah, I think that would be possible. It's certainly something I want to do for the Patreon fans, and that's something I need to get on top of even more. Is like, okay, what would you like to see from me? How much time commitment can I give you? And how can we increase the Patreon so that it gets to that larger numbers? How much do you need of me? Because I'm discovering now this Mornings with the Outlaw show, and this is something I probably should tell you guys. I am considering cutting it down to just 3 times a week. I'm not, making the making the financial money for this particular show to the level that I was hoping to do consistently by doing it every day. And so it might allow me, though, to do a Outlaw Nation show at night from like 7 to 9:30 or something like 7 to 9, where I'd be talking about mental health, talking about issues going on in the world, talking about issues going on in entertainment, things of that nature with you all in a live stream, and then a secondary show, which would be a watch-along show for one movie that gets selected by my patrons. So that's a possibility that I could do there. That would be my Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I might do mornings with the Outlaw like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays at night I'd have mornings. Have a stream that's the Outlaw Nation show, and then of course do a movie watch along maybe for the patrons on a Thursday night. So things that to consider in my mind. As much as I enjoy doing the show, to be honest, I love doing mornings with the Outlaw. It's just that financially I'm not hitting the numbers that I was hoping to hit. Being completely honest with you all with the Streamlabs and the Super Chats. And to be fair, I mean that's it's a tough situation I'm trying to build from what I'm creating. So I hope you all understand that. So, they said Andrew Vadez says they're saying the movie is maybe the longest Bond movie in at nearly 3 hours. So. Everyone seems to be doing that, getting those long movies into their franchise. Yeah, guys, I got to wrap this thing up in 9 minutes. I might not get to the High Republic stuff. I think with the Bond stuff, it kind of threw me off. So maybe I'll push that to tomorrow. But let me answer another Streamlab here. Aiden Cossack donated, said Matt Hardy goes to AEW. Young Bucks showed up on his Free the Delete series this morning. Thoughts? Also, sorry my DM never got to you. Maybe I'll send my login though through Twitter so you can watch Revolution. No, I did get it, Aiden. Sorry. I did get it yesterday. I saw it. The thing is with Instagram, it goes to these request sections. We don't actually follow each other on Instagram, the message will go to a request section. So sometimes I forget that. So when I go to the request section, I can look and see what messages are there. And so with that, I think that's the way to go for me. That's the way that works the best. So I'll do that. I found it there and took a copy of the screen name and the password so that I can use that. So thank you so much. I'm absolutely going to go and put that on my Roku so I can watch it maybe sometime later today. I've got Send Live after this. Then I'm heading off to Steve's house. We're going to record the first part of Spartacus for the Cinephiles in honor of the death of Kirk Douglas. So after that, though, I'm going to come home and probably watch a little bit of Revolution there. Thank you for your code. All right, there we go. Any other Streamlabs or Super Chats rolling through here? Gloin the Hobbit, thank you for your comment. I'm not going to read it, but I appreciate it. I'm trying, you know me. I'm always going to say what I really think, right or wrong. And then if I'm wrong, I'll totally admit that I'm wrong. And if I have to adjust something, I'll adjust. But if I'm right, I'm right. So let it be all of that. Please hit those like button. Please get me up to over 150 likes. I got 7 minutes left in this stream. I'd love it if you guys give it some likes here. Let me jump in real quick to the High Republic stuff. I want to give some love to the gentleman who wrote this, and that is Mick Joest, Joest on CinemaBlend, wrote this fantastic piece about the High Republic and how it might be revolutionizing the movies in Star Wars. He talks about how this is, of course, being set at a time when the Jedi are thriving, when the Jedi are like really a big part of this, where everyone thinks the Sith is done. And so and it'll just focus on this villainous faction of space Vikings called the Nil, which of course is probably short for nihilist, which means they don't believe in anything Donnie. They're nihilists. Maybe some more about the underworld, crime syndicates, things of that nature. This idea of this being a swashbuckling type of Star Wars is very interesting to me too. And plus the idea of Vikings, this vibe of like Vikings and the concept art that's come out made it feel like Mad Max Fury Road. Let me bring some of that up real quick that we've seen. That kind of badass look to it, of course. And then we get to see a little more. We might get to see a little more of the dark side of the Siths, like how this all was constructed, how this was all built. Most of the time, Vader, Palpatine, anybody that's shown to us as evil, we don't really see their construction of how they became. Yeah, I know in the prequels we saw Vader with Anakin and stuff, but that was really fumbled. So you go, okay, how can we show the building of this particular force, right? We've seen good in the Jedi, and we've seen with Clone Wars and with Rebels, we've seen kind of the lore of the history of the beginning of the Jedi and how that all came to be.
there's more to explore on the Sith side of things. So yes, wouldn't it be interesting to flip it where you have the Jedi being this overall power at the time and the Sith have to be kind of these underdogs that build up. The other thing he touches on here is the opportunity to tell disconnected stories. And he thinks that's very liberating, that we won't be tied to the mythology, the overall mythology of Star Wars. Because you say it's in a galaxy. It's a galaxy, which means multiple planets and people and species and blah, blah, blah. But we seem to only focus on the Skywalkers and its connectedness there. So this idea that you can do standalone films or separate films that don't necessarily tie into a larger universe. Yes, there's no Star Wars films, but they're not necessarily tied to a larger part of the universe, I think is a great point he brings up. And they can adapt stories from pre-existing lore, which is stuff that maybe not a lot of people have read or seen or known about, so they can do their own spin on it and once again expand the universe out. That was the whole point, I thought, initially of the Star Wars stories films, was to expand them out so that you could bring in filmmakers who could do great work on this. So those are the things that I personally am excited to see. And I'm not giving this thing enough time and enough love as I was planning to because of the Bond thing that just dropped. But I would say that this is a great article. I think you all should absolutely read it, and it should excite you for what might be coming for the High Republic once it actually goes down here in Lucasfilm and Disney. Once it actually goes down, I'd be absolutely down with that and seeing where it can go. And this idea of being outside the Skywalkers, like being outside of all this kind of stuff, would be great. All right, I got 4 minutes left on this. I only have 132 likes. Would like it if you all swung over there, hit that like button before we wrap this thing up. When I got to go here in 3 minutes, I'd appreciate it very much. Hit that thumbs up button. The thumbs up button is by the like button. The thumbs up button. Hit that thing. Give me some love over there. All right, you see my Patreon there, www.patreon.com/John Rocha. I got the Streamlabs address. You can follow me on social media at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Love talking about this stuff. Let me know what you think about this High Republic thing. Are you excited by this? Do you like this article once you read it for Mick Joest? Do you think he's making some good points here about what could happen here in the High Republic? This idea of the Sith. Will we get great Jedi? This idea of the Jedi being the overwhelming force. Do we get splits going on here? Factions of Jedi. Certainly we've seen Jedis have issues with other Jedis and how they handle things. So would we see that here as well? Will we get a little taste of that in the High Republic? Because once you're the dominating, once you're the majority in a situation, then it becomes about cutting it open and like kind of moving it around. And so people start to kind of get into their own factions because they have their version of what the Jedi should be, their version of what good should be in the universe, justice should be in the universe, so that they push their theology and ideas. And once again, to bring back what I mentioned at the beginning of the show, look at the political stuff that's going on the Democratic side of things. You've got the Bernie supporters who think it should be a certain way. You've got Biden supporters who think it should be a certain way. You think Elizabeth Warren supporters who think it should be a certain way. So you've got those. They're all under the Democratic tent, but they all have different points of views about how they think the best way to lead this country is. The Jedi could be the same way. Big tent. But they have different factions, different leaders of those factions who think they should be the ones leading the Jedi forward into that version of the Jedi, that version of how to rule the universe, and how to put their points of views on how things should function in the universe. So that's what you get with the Jedi. And so that could be very interesting to explore in the High Republic, certainly, and that would be a lot of fun. Cool. Alex Stamen has a new Star Wars Explained video. Why do the Jedi fear the Nihil, however they're pronouncing it? The High Republic posted today. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yep, there I am back on screen. I apologize. Sometimes I get caught up talking about stuff. I forget to transition. So, all right, let me wrap this thing up. Just got to run off to SCN Live. Thank you for reminding me of that JJ Windward. I made the change here. Please follow me on my social media, as you see there, at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Trying to get that Instagram above 20,000 followers. Trying to get that Twitter above 35,000 followers and keep going. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, would really appreciate if you did so. See that red button there at the bottom, that red button down there, please hit subscribe. Got more content coming down the pike for this channel, definitely. And don't forget forget to join my Patreon there at www.patreon.com/John Rocha. Trying to get above like 1,000, 2,000 for that thing consistently every month, so I can make the Outlaw Nation happen, and I can start renting a studio to do that and paying people to like come in, or paying a production person to be the person shooting it and cutting it and everything, so you get even more professional shows, those kinds of nature, and launching the website as well. So I will be way more vigilant about the Patreon stuff. So slide on over there and take a look at that and see the tiers that we got and that nature. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Nile is pronounced Nile. Okay. Thanks, J. Scott Friel. So the Nile. There we go. So thanks everybody for joining me this morning. Thank you for being patient with me not being on yesterday because of having to vote and everything that was happening, and because of that long-ass day on Monday that I had. So, all right. Love all of you. Always love that you take the time to spend time with me on Mornings with the Outlaw. Hopefully I gave you something to think about, something to consider. Yeah, okay. Charles Hall, one last one. Who is your favorite Sith Lord? Did you ever play Knights of the Old Republic? No, I did not play Knights of the Old Republic. I think Plagueis is always going to be my favorite Sith Lord because of Legend of the Plagueis. I enjoy that very, very much. So that would be my answer to that. All right, that's it. Please, thank you so much. Share a studio with Coy. Is Coy on a studio? Does he have a studio? I didn't know that, Rick Samoris. I didn't know he had a studio. Yeah, follow me there. Please subscribe to the channel, and then go and watch me on SCN Live here in about 29 minutes over there with the crew. All right, much love. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow for another episode of Mornings with the Outlaw. Have yourself a great Wednesday, a great hump day. Until then, talk to you soon.